principio siempre es el más difícil. The beginning is always the hardest. Mile 125, Burgos, Spain. I've just completed one of the most commonly walked pilgrimages in the world. After all my hard work, I've finally reached the finish line of my journey and the starting line for the next chapter in my life. This hike was unlike any other in the sense that it forced me to push myself farther than I ever thought I could go. In retrospect, it's obvious why quitting seemed so easy, because the beginning is always the hardest. Mile 100. I have 2 days left, but I wish it were a lifetime. This foreign location feels like a familiar destination, and a part of me, I leave on that trail. His presence speaks volumes to me as I look at how much I've transformed these past 100 miles. I'm no longer just a pilgrim on this journey, but a follower of his testimony. Mile 83. I notice another hiker, the same girl I saw 2 days ago, still walking with the same speed that's just a little too quick for me to keep up with. Strangely, this time I'm not frustrated, because this isn't a race. It's a blessing we call life, and his grace works in her the same way it works in me. His love is mercy, and that's a trait I've lacked until this point. This pilgrimage is meant to enlighten. I realize I need to start walking my own walk and stop trying to get ahead of people. Life isn't a timeline. It's an adventure we all embark on. And the beginning is always the hardest. Mile 72. Tomorrow's 18-mile hike seems impossible considering the blisters and sunburn I've accumulated so far. But a voice inside my head screams, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so just hold on a little longer." Reluctantly, I do. I'm beginning to see some value in this walk. Mile 58. My 20-pound backpack starts to dig into my shoulders. I know I packed everything I need in case of an emergency, so I push through the pain. After a while, I can't handle the burden anymore, and thank God a post office was nearby. Beginning today with a lighter load has already lightened my attitude. We all have baggage we want to get rid of, but I've already let go of mine. My journey's become so much easier without that weight on my shoulders. The beginning is always the hardest. Mile 31. There's a hiker ahead of me, and she's walking at a pace I just can't seem to comprehend. How does she have the energy to go that fast? No matter how fast I walk, I just can't seem to catch up, and not a single drop of sweat drips down her face as she marches straight past the water fountains. The desire to pass this girl burns inside me. Mile 17. Day 2 of the most pointless walk across the earth. The beginning is hard. I'm sore, and I've already mentally checked out. I'm not a hiker, and with over 100 miles to go, there's no way I'm going to make it through this. It's only the second day. This is the most physically demanding thing I've ever done. The beginning is always the hardest. Mile 0. Pamplona, Spain. It's day 1 of my spiritual walk. Unknowingly, today is the first step into a walk of faithfulness. A hike through nothingness, but an experience nonetheless. I take my first reluctant and tentative steps. The beginning is always the hardest. God doesn't put us through situations He doesn't think we can handle. But I refuse to believe this and maintain the mindset that walking 125 miles in 9 days was asinine. I saw it as a hike, not a pilgrimage. Less benefit and more damage. But despite the damage that developed, I found peace in the awakenings of my soul through the miracle of nature, without which all journeys are essentially pointless. As a spiritual walk for inner growth, the beginning was definitely the hardest. But buried beneath the burdens of being human is a divine function. The spiritual thread that ties us together yearns to break from our self-imposed isolation. The beginning isn't supposed to be easy. To my surprise, He gave me the strength I needed to complete my journey. The voice inside my head grabs my attention. All I did was give you what you needed before you knew you needed it. El principio siempre es el más difícil. The beginning is always the hardest.